Hey guys, it's Jeff and I'm here today. We're gonna stain our shed. Basic process, we're gonna use a hand sprayer. We're using C2 Guard, which is a penetrating stain and sealer. It's water-based. And we're gonna put that in with a 6-inch brush. And I'm gonna be cutting in an accent color with my 3-inch brush. We're gonna be doing all of our posts in black to get a two-tone effect. It's gonna be a really good look. First of all, let's talk about why I'm using the C2 Guard. It's because it's a water-based stain. It is a penetrating sealer, so it doesn't sit on the surface, it goes right in the wood. And that means that over time, a few years from now when it starts to fade out a little bit, I can actually restain right over top of the existing and I don't need to remove the existing finish. That's the benefit of doing this product. Okay, just so what we're doing here is we're taking some of the product, pouring it in a pail. This product does separate. Okay, it's not a solution, it's a mixture. So it's important, empty half your can into a pail, give it a good mix, make sure all the sediment is off the bottom, and then we'll put it all back together in the pail, mix it together really well so the color's consistent, and then we'll put it in the sprayer and we're good to go. We're just gonna sand the bird poop. Because we got a couple of friends visiting here. We gotta get this cleaned up. This was last used on a drywall project, I guess. The back side of the shed, these posts, seem to have a lot of that pressure treated kind of material left on the surface. It doesn't get the sunshine, so that's why I gave it a quick sand. Beautiful. You can see the bottom of that is nice and clean. That is what you're looking for. If you see a sediment ring sitting there, that's your protection in the can. Back to mixing again, all right? This is, application is only as good as your integrity. We got it. So the sprayer comes with a little funnel. Here we go. Nice and easy. Okay. Now I'm gonna leave about half of that in the pail, okay? Then lock it. Whew. Here we go. Now, when you're working with latex, when you're working with water-based, you wanna go from the top down. When you're working with oil, you want to work from the bottom up. All right, so before I get spraying, I just got to get rid of a couple of cobwebs here. If I don't get rid of the cobwebs, they will get stained right in there with the rest of it. Now, we'll just check that pressure again. That's exactly what we wanted. Nice, even application. The secret here is only apply as much as you can remove or brush in before it dries in about 3 minutes, okay? So there we go. We'll do the overhang first. It's gonna drip all over the place on you a little bit. That's why we start at the top, okay? And you wanna work the material into the wood with the brush. Okay, here we go. One of the benefits of this material is that it doesn't cause that overlapping stain effect, right? If you ever worked on a deck board and you've used the cheaper products, you'll get half the deck board done, and then you add more material to your brush, you do the next part. Any overlap is twice the colorant, and it actually shows up really obvious. But this technique like this, you avoid all that, so it's okay if it drips and makes a bit of a mess. You don't need to use tarps and all that other sort of stuff. Just get in here, vigorously brush that all in. Now the colors I'm using today are sugar maple for the body, and then carbon is for my trim. Now that I've got the under area sprayed, I'm gonna do the face in my carbon. You're gonna see how this comes together. Just using a 3-inch angle brush. Okay. I'm just gonna cut that edge, just like a paint job. Here we are. Now the secret here is not to use too much material where it's runny, okay? Because if it starts to drip, it's gonna end up all over the deck underneath, okay? So we're gonna put it in, and I'm gonna run, you'll see it dripping out. Now it's controlled. If it's dripping, it's too much material. We'll start at the top, gentle pressure. Okay, once you feel like you're drying out, then you can use a little more pressure, dab at the holes, all this kind of thing. Really the goal here is just to create the accent. Here we are. That's a good look, eh? Beautiful. Now when you go to the store, they have oil and they have water base. And they have different tints, and you can pick your color and they can shake it up and mix it on site. But when it comes to the water base, you've got 3 options as well. And that is the transparent, a semi-transparent, and then a solid stain, solid color. Now, all 3 of these apply like a paint and they sit on the surface, okay? It's definitely a lot more affordable. They run about half the price as the product that I'm using. And you can tell that the more colorant is in the can, you go from a transparent to a semi to a full, you go from 4 to 6 to 10 years on your surface, okay? And that's because it has more UV protectant in more colorant and more solid finish. That's the whole choice. That's all there is to it. You get to pick how much work you want to do, how long it's going to last, by picking which kind of finish. Whew, that was the most difficult part of the job. Getting that done without getting that black dripping all over the floor. Okay, here we are. Now, I'm intentionally just trying to do the body of this. And if I get this material on these corners, it doesn't matter, okay? The black will cover it. If I get it on my hardware, it's okay, it just wipes off with a paper towel. I want to spray it with a little bit of an upwards angle here so that I'm getting the material on the bottom side as well. There we go. And it's okay if you don't have perfect coverage when you put this on, because when you brush it, it's going to fill in all the gaps. Wow, that is really soaking it up well. This was some really thirsty wood. Wow. Now, one of the directions from the manufacturer on this product is you want to apply the stain 2 coats. You want to go wet on wet. And that gets a much better finished look. So we're using this to push any extra material into the wood. There we are. And then I'm just going to go right back and hit it again. If you're going with one color, you can go with an oil. And the secret behind a good oil finish is actually in the UV protection. It's the colorant that you add, okay? So this is a 2-part system. You can add a colorant into the oil, get that mixed up, and then that colorant actually becomes your UV protection, and that helps you get a lot more durability. The problem with using the oil, of course, is when it does start to deteriorate, it can end up flaking and peeling off the surface, okay? If that happens, then of course, then you got to start sanding it all over again. And that's the kind of labor that I'm just not interested in. It's also very difficult to clean your tools, so you're probably gonna end up buying brushes and throwing them in the garbage when you're done. If you use water-based, you can clean up when you're done. Sometimes around the knots, you'll notice it doesn't really soak in as well. So use the brush and force that into the knot. There we go. And just like the first coat on the walls, this wood is really thirsty right now. So there's really no residue sitting on the face of that board after the first coat. We're just using some pressure to force that into the wood. Now, the trick with getting a product like C2 Guard is in distribution. Okay, it's not available at your Home Depot. You can order it online if you're living in the States, and we have a 20% discount code. Check that out in the video description. Here in Canada, we have a few distributors. If you're in Ottawa, you just head on down to Randall's, tell them I sent you, and they'll give you the deal as well. So I've got this color done on this wood, right? We're gonna let that dry up probably about 30 minutes before, while I go around and do the other sides. It's awesome to see this. But this has been outside for, I don't know, we let it sit for a good 2 months, maybe 3. Yeah, that was thirsty. Okay.
Like Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, it's a wax on, wax off environment, eh? Now this is not on the sun side, so I am gonna cheat just a touch here and not get that a second coat. I don't think I'm gonna lose any sleep. Now, I gotta be really careful here, right? Because I don't wanna have it dripping all over the bottom. We're gonna see if this is responding well or if it's still too wet. Oh, I just had a paint drip flick. That's not good. I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go a little bit light on this and do a second coat. So the look that I'm going for here is, it's like a burnt wood look. So if you wanna burn your 4x4s before you make your shed, you can. Here comes the tricky part. So, make sure we're dry, right? Now, you'll see it's beating up a little bit on me here because there's so much of that other material that got on there. Maybe it would have been a good idea to get the tape out and protect it. But maybe it'd be a good idea if I gave it an hour to actually dry. Okay, and I'm going wet on wet on this part. That's a much nicer look. Yeah. I'm gonna get one coat on it now, and then I'm gonna come back a little later this afternoon after it's had a chance to really dry up, and then we'll get another coat on it. This technique down here is really simple. I'm putting the brush on here, and then I'm pressing it, and then I can use it to, when I lower the handle, it pushes the bristles down. Okay, so holding it still, press it, and you can paint by pushing the bristles into that groove. There we go. I like that look.
Yeah, it's nice.
We hit all the posts. No. Oh, this sucks. Oh, my can splashed. Oh, nuts. Quickly get that off of there. Okay. That was close. This is really, really meticulous work. So I guess now the question is it worth the extra effort to do all that detail work to get it framed out like that? Or would you just save yourself the 2 hours it's going to take me to do all the cutting work? And just, I'm starting to wonder, you know, is it worth the effort? I have no idea. Let me know in the comment section. Would you take the time to buy a different color and do all that detail? Or would you just spray it and be done? When you're doing something that's design focused, you usually spend a lot more time and materials doing it to get the look than is really necessary to get the performance. All right. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Cheers till next time.